Welcome to the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin. You didn't think I'd forget about you. I know it's only a couple hours before kickoff, and by the time you listen to the podcast, it's going to be probably kickoff already, and your bets are already going to be made. But what the hell? I got to push a podcast and make sure that at least you can look back and see how successful I was on the picks I made. What we're going to do here today is look at Week 3 Sunday action, Monday action in the NFL, go through my picks, see what you think. Set your feedback through X. I want to say Twitter, but X at overrated EXPER2. That's overrated at EXPER2. Follow us, drop us a line, tell us what you think of the show, and maybe I'll read it on air. Who knows? Your opinions, even if you think the show sucks, it doesn't matter. But we're going to go through all the action here. I don't know how your weekend's been so far in betting. Mine's been absolute dog shit so far. Not happy how college football went yesterday. And also some soccer action did not go my way. So let's hope the Sunday is much better. And we got a coffee going here. We got our morning. We got our odds on the board. We're looking at the injury report. A lot of things going on that may or may not influence what you put your dollars down on. But let's get at it, and let's get her going, and let's get this done fast. So, Sunday action, survivor pool pick. Survivor pools have been murdered through the first 2 weeks with upsets in Cincinnati losing to New England. We have the Eagles losing to the Falcons on the Monday night, but last week was more about the Baltimore massacre where the Vegas Raiders had walked into Baltimore, late win against the Ravens, which really decapitated most survivor pools. So I'm down to one survivor pool remaining. I took Houston last week, which thank God they have the Bears, who are absolute trash at the moment. They can pick it up, but right now they're trash. And I'm thinking this week, to kick us off, we're going to talk about this game anyway. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the survivor pool pick of the week, are they not? Do we envision the Denver Broncos walking into Tampa Bay with what we've seen the first 2 weeks from both of these teams? The Denver Broncos trying to have Bo Nix, their rookie quarterback, settle in. Can't get the ball downfield. Massive turnovers, bad decisions. And then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who walked into Ford Field last week, knocked off the Lions. Didn't just cover, knocked off the Lions. Baker Mayfield is the man right now. Remember Baker Mayfield had that excellent debut with the Cleveland Browns, and then he knocked off the Steelers in the playoffs. And then things went south, and Cleveland ownership said, hey, let's go for and let's pay Deshaun Watson. Let's get him out of Houston and discard Baker Mayfield, who wound up in Carolina. We know what kind of shit show Carolina is. He then has, which I think was one of the best things that could have happened to him in his career, was that late pickup by the LA Rams, who needed a quarterback and threw him in. I think it was a Thursday nighter on a couple days' notice, and he won that football game. And I really think that really propelled Baker to be on the radar of a few teams, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being one of them, who picked him up. And so far, he took him to the playoffs last year. And I think me and Austin from Ajax really stood behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the favorite in this division, the NFC South, to walk away as leaders in that division. And so far, they haven't disappointed. A few competition potentials with the Atlanta Falcons, who had a big win against Philadelphia, and also the 2-0 New Orleans Saints, who pasted the fraud Dallas Cowboys. But let's get into it, and let's look at go through this and zip through it. So get you ready for 1 o'clock. We have the Denver Broncos in Tampa Bay right now. And by the way, and I'm not sponsored in any fashion, but I'll just tell you what I'm using to kind of get a feel from what the lines and multiple sports books in the local area. My local area is Ontario, and that is BetStamp. Very good app on your phone, on your laptop, whatever it is. It allows you to look at every game. You click on every game and you look at your local sports books and what the lines are. So what I'm doing here is taking the 3 books that I would use, and that would be FanDuel, DraftKings, and Bet365. But note to self, Bet365 has fucked around with me many times so far, and still, to this date, has not gotten back to me about getting back on board. So I'm going to keep it on the radar when I talk about the lines, just to also point out where I could have picked a line that is not available to me because these jokers at the service really don't give a shit about you and me. They don't give 2 fucks, to be very honest with you, of where, if I'm on the service or not. They must be very successful. So I applaud you, Bet365. But there's a finger I'm showing you right now that maybe I shouldn't post on Instagram. But the lines I wrote down here are a couple days old, and I've tried to scan BetStamp to see if they're still valid. Now, keep in mind that the lines may have changed by the time you listen to this, but I'm going to go by what I had. So I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on right now. Bet365 is the only one out of the three that have gone down to 6. So if I had access to the Bet365, which I don't, that means I would have taken the Buccaneers 6 points. But right now, I would look at FanDuel. Actually, I'm going to look at DraftKings as man, I can't speak. DraftKings has the Buccaneers minus 6.5 at minus 108. So I'm going to take that line. So that's the Buccaneers on that one. Oh, by the way, going back to last week when we had the lady from upstairs, let's look at our results, by the way. The good old K-Man here, 9-5-1, because we had one push out of 15 games, 64% win rate. While the lady from upstairs, well, geez, she had a 5-9-1 record out of 15 games selected last week for a 35.7%. Well, that's why we leave her upstairs sometimes. And, you know, we do invite her to sneak downstairs a bit, but she'll have to do better next time, maybe to get that invite back on the show. But don't tell her. Now, moving on to Houston, Minnesota. This is an intriguing matchup, and this is where the injuries come into play, at least some of the highlighted injuries. You have running back Joel Mixon has been ruled out. He will not be in the backfield for the Houston Texans. However, there's still a 1.5 point favorite over the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings 2-0, both teams 2-0. Really have, let's just make sure here. So I'm seeing some lines where the Houston Texans are up to 2.5, 2s. Bet365 is now up to 2, which it wasn't before. So that's actually pretty interesting. Without Joel Mixon, Bet365 has the Houston Texans favored by 2. DraftKings 1.5. FanDuel, once I find him here, is still related at 1.5. I'm telling you right now, I like the Minnesota Vikings, and if I'm going by spread, obviously the plus, I would probably take money line here. However, if I'm just betting on the plus, I would take the plus 105 on DraftKings again. But I would also go with Bet365. It's 2 points, which I can't take. Jerks. So I like Houston to, I think these two teams are comparable, and I think Minnesota playing at home is the play here, and Joel Mixon's out. But Houston has a ton of weapons, and defense is playing at a high level. But let's go with the Vikings, the Purple People Leaders, the Minnesota Vikings. Here's an interesting matchup. 2-0 teams, the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers, and people still think of them as the San Diego Chargers, but they're the LA Chargers, heading into Pittsburgh, taking on the 2-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. Excuse me. Now, here's a shocker. If you look at the injury report, Russell Wilson, quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is listed as questionable with a calf strain. This guy is a mess. This guy can't get on the field to start a football game. Justin Fields will be starting, which is a no-brainer. But, Russell Wilson, who hasn't even touched the field in a month, is injury-prone. What a shock. And this is the deal when you take on older quarterbacks. You get bumps and bruises that the younger guys may or may not have or can play through. Russell Wilson is baggage. And really, when I see his name pop up in an injury report and he wants to start, forget this guy. Forget this guy. He'll be by the trade deadline, be gone to a desperate team in the NFL that requires at least a quarterback that has NFL starting experience. So I don't think Russell Wilson's appearance on the injury report is really going to change what you think in this game, but this is what will. Justin Herbert, quarterback for the LA Chargers, is listed as a game-time decision with a high ankle sprain. And it looks like A, he may not play, but 2, so I like how I went to A to 2, but anyway, you know what I mean, that if he plays, he may be seriously, he may not play like the Justin Herbert you're thinking of. And this puts a big compromise on when you take this line. So the Steelers walked in this week, it was 3 points, and it still is 3 points for most. Actually, it's down to 2.5 points for most books, like Bet365 is at 2.5. DraftKings is at 2.5. FanDuel is at 2.5, which is different because the FanDuel and DraftKings of the world had it at 3. I'm not too sure why the line has shifted. And we're talking about Justin Herbert, and the line's shifting towards the LA Chargers. I don't know. I think this is one you want to stay away from because it's so ugly as far as the health of Herbert. But you got to take the Steelers, don't you, at home with questions on Justin Herbert. So, and this over-under is like 34.5 at some books, 35, really low. I don't know. This is like, again, an opportunity. Not an opportunity. No. Stay away, Kyle. Stay away. I look at this as a teaser opportunity to bring it down at some books below, 30 points that you got to get above if you get 6 points your way. But this is a sucker's fool's gold. It's, it's not good. So I'm going to quickly get away from this, but I'm going to take a play. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steelers. If it's at, I had it listed down as minus 150 or minus 105. But FanDuel has it minus 102 at minus 3. I'll take the Steelers. But again, this is with sports books at minus 2.5. That's the play. It's got to be. But stay away from that over-under, please. It's so appetizing, but don't do it. Now, here's what I think is maybe the value play of the week. Everybody is super high on the New Orleans Saints. And you know what? Rightfully so. They are on fire the first 2 weeks. And then the Eagles come to town with a devastating loss on Monday night to the Atlanta Falcons. Really, Saquon Barkley catches that little out, ends the game. Or the Eagles make a different decision, kill the clock, ends the game. But I think that falls into, if you're liking the Eagles, this is an advantage to you. Because the feel on the Eagles is down, the stock is down, while the Saints is way up. Now, do you really believe in the New Orleans Saints? Do you believe that they are at the Philadelphia Eagle level? So right now, because they're playing at home, they're on most sports books minus 2.5. I'm looking at the board here. I like the Eagles. I know that A.J. Brown is out. That is important. So A.J. Brown, superstar receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, is out. For the Saints, Taysom Hill looks doubtful. And he's the guy who will come in and throw a wrinkle play, a run, goal line, quarterback or tight end. He throws a wrinkle in there. There's plays made up for him to make impact plays. And if he's not available, that takes away from the New Orleans Saints offense. And I think that's going to make a difference here. The Eagles, value, maybe even put a teaser on it to push it to plus 8.5. But I can see the Eagles winning outright here. So you got me, Philly. Minus 2.5. I'm going to take you. Plus 2.5 or plus 3 on FanDuel. So I'll take you, buddies. Come on, Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. All right, now we move on to the other page of my book. Great. So the Green Bay Packers taking on the Tennessee Titans. What an ugly matchup. And I say that because one team is 1-1. Big victory for the Packers last week against the Indianapolis Colts, where the Tennessee Titans pissed away another opportunity to walk away with a win against the Jets. They were in that game until Bo Levi threw away opportunity after opportunity. And if you look at this matchup here, it looks like Jordan Love is questionable, but Malik Harris is going to be the one who starts. So what I mean by questionable for Jordan Love is, will he be suited up and potentially be available, which is hard to believe because he should have been gone for 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL strain. This is kind of a confusing matchup if you really look at it. The Tennessee Titans are 3-point favorites. I don't know. This one I wouldn't even touch with a 10-foot pole, but honestly, the Tennessee Titans are showing themselves as losers. The Green Bay Packers have more of a winning, philosophy to them, better coaching. But man, I don't believe in Harris. If you're starting quarterback, I think that I'm going to contradict myself. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans on this one, and I'll take them at a line at 2.5, which I found on FanDuel. So is FanDuel still at it? No, they're at 3 now, but my line was 2.5. I'm going to stick with it. So we're going to go the Tennessee Titans, which I don't like too much, to beat the Green Bay Packers and cover the 2.5-point spread. Another matchup, we have the New York Football Giants taking on your Cleveland Browns, your boy Deshaun Watson, in full effect, getting the win last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game, 6.5 points, it looks like, is the average line. pretty much solid 6.5 across the board. And we're looking at a Cleveland Browns team that, do you have confidence that they will cover this? Do you have confidence in the New York Giants that they can put up enough points? Again, this is an ugly matchup. You have no idea what you're going to see. Tight end Njoku for the Cleveland Browns is out. He will not be playing. This is an ugly game that probably stay away from, but if I had to put a lean one way or another, I'll say the Giants to cover. Screw it. I'll take the Giants to cover. Plus 6.5, minus 112 with DK. Could have done minus 110 with Bet365, but guess who doesn't have access? This guy right here. And not much to talk about in that game. Let's move on. Who the hell's going to be watching that? Nobody, unless you live in Cleveland or New York. Chicago, Indy, the Chicago Bears are, what are they? I don't know. Their offense is in disarray. Rookie quarterback Caleb Williams should eventually get out of this funk where he's connecting and gets out of that college mindset. But until then, they go into Indy, who is 0-2. 0-2. Indianapolis choked away an opportunity to even out their season by failing to capitalize in Green Bay. And this is where the heat on Richardson, quarterback for the Colts, is going to start. The easy throws he cannot make at this time in his career. The bombs down 50, 60 yards. Yeah, no problem. Great arm. But you need to hit the simple throws. Defenses will game plan the shit out of you and destroy you and allow your offense to do nothing. So I'm hoping that the Indianapolis Colts offensive coordinators and can strategize and get Richardson back to where he needs to go, because you need to stick to your game on the ground. But I do think they squeak by the Bears today. I don't think the Bears get it together just yet. They do have a top-level defense, and I think will give Indy problems. And this over-under is 43.5. Do we like it? I don't know, man. I'd keep the under in there potentially, but I'm not going to talk about that at this moment. I'm going to just talk about the Colts covering the 1.5. And I'm going to take it on FanDuel. Could have took it on -1. No, sorry. FanDuel. So Bet365 has it -1. Fuck, that's a huge difference, man. That really pisses me off that I could have got a line at -1 and I can't get it. I don't have access to it because I'm waiting on a reply because they're backed up on paperwork. I'm getting screwed over on the line because of an administrative situation. How disgusting that is. So I'm going to take the Colts at -1.5 at -102. But could have had the Colts at -1. So if this game ends 28-26, if this game ends 29-28, I could have won. Or at least pushed, But I'm going to lose if that happens. Now we head into the 4 o'clock games. We've got a healthy 4 o'clock schedule with 4 games in hand. Do we have 4 or 5? Yeah, 5. 5 4 o'clock games, which is fantastic. I think they need to spread it out a little more, like they are today. So the Miami Dolphins head into Seattle. Think about that flight. What's the flight from Miami to Seattle? And you got no Tua, Skylar Thompson behind center for the Miami Football Dolphins. And the Dolphins, let's look at it. I just want the latest line. Look like a 4.5. Most books here, kind of consistent with what we've seen a couple days earlier. If you like the Seattle Seahawks, you have the Bet365 is down to 4 points. Man, fuck, again, if you like the Seahawks, even DraftKings is down to 4. FanDuel, did you go down to 4? All the commitment I've made to you, investment, FanDuel, nope, you're at 4.5. Here's my thing about Seattle. Seattle is talented. Geno Smith so far had a decent start. DK Metcalf has started to get going last game. Kenneth Walker is out and really going to rely on the ball in the air in the ground game. Wasn't as successful last week. Did not really put up yards. I think Miami comes in, game plans, keeps this game close, and I think it's too much. I think 4.5 for the Seahawks to expect them to cover is too much despite being at home. So I'm going to surprisingly take the Miami Dolphins at plus 4.5. I'm going to take it at the FanDuel line because of the fact that it is -110 versus -112 in DK. But if you liked, if you like the Seahawks, then obviously you'd pick DK or Bet365 because the line's down to 4. That's the advantage of having multiple outs and multiple books to review. And I would encourage you. And again, BetStamp, not a sponsor of mine or anything like that, But I got to give a shout out that it gives you an opportunity to get a quick view. I know there's other sites out there that provide that same access, but it works for me. Carolina, the Red Rockets. Andy Dalton. Is it the Red Rocket or the Rifleman? What is it? I can't remember what his true nickname is. But anyway, he is a better option than Bryce Young at the moment. And the line looks to be down from 6 and 6.5 for most books now, looking at a 5.5, line here. And you got to ask yourself, the Vegas Raiders walked into week 1 against the Chargers and really squandered opportunity after opportunity, bad coaching decisions, and then flipped it, clutch situations in Baltimore, coming through and winning a game they shouldn't have won. Kudos to them. Kudos to Antonio Pierce, head coach of the Vegas Raiders. And now you got a weird matchup where Carolina, not total opposite of a Baltimore Raven, Super Bowl contender, coming into town with a backup quarterback who's really probably a better step ahead than Bryce Young. What happens here? What's this game look like? Are there points on the board? It's 39.5, 40. What do we get here? What are the Raiders? I don't know. They probably squeaked by, but did they get by 5.5? I don't know. But, if I had to take and you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say they do. So I got the lines at 6. I'm going to go by the 6. And I'll take the Raiders at -6, -108 on DK. But again, you're going to find this more of a 5.5 line. So I just can't trust the Carolina Panthers. I don't think it's going to be an ugly game. I don't think it's going to be something you should focus your time on. And a game you'll probably focus more of your time on is the game of the day, at least at the 4 o'clock hours. The 0-2 Baltimore Ravens take on the 1-1 fraudulent Dallas Cowboys. This is a big matchup. Can you envision that the Ravens go 0-3 to kick off the season? Is that bury this team? I don't know. But the Ravens have a tough matchup here. And right now they're a point to 1.5 favorites in each of these books, while the Cowboys at home, underdogs. I could see the Cowboys winning this game. Why couldn't you? I mean, I think the play here is if you have a 4-game teaser with 6 points, you bring it down from 47.5 to 41 and 41.5. 41.5. I think there'll be some points scored in this game. But this is a coin toss, man. I can't see the Ravens losing this game. I'm going to go with the Ravens here, but I'm very, I might change my mind right off the kickoff, but I'm going to say right now, I'll take the Ravens at -1.5, -102. It's pissing me off. FanDuel's got, they're still at 1.5. Bet365 is at 1. Assholes. DraftKings, DK, have it your way. DraftKings, where are you? They have it at 1. So why would I go to 1.5 when I can get it at 1 on DraftKings? So take the Ravens, lock it in. Now we have a game that's basically your injury report focus here today. In today's action, that is the San Francisco 49ers heading to LA to take on the Rams at SoFi Stadium, divisional matchup. Look at the two teams. Minnesota knocked off the 49ers last week on the road. LA walked into Arizona and walked out with the tail between their legs, got crushed by the Cardinals. What do we got in this matchup? Well, you need to know the injury report. The 49ers are going to be without, obviously, CMC. Deebo Samuel's out, as you know, and Kittle is out. And cornerback Travarius Ward is questionable or doubtful. So they are hurting in San Francisco, but also you got the LA Rams without Puka and Kupp are gone. Weapons are depleted for Stafford. And you look at both teams right now, the 49ers are 6.5-point favorites, and wonder, which team is better at adapting to an injury-filled lineup. I'm being asked for a pick on a suicide pool, but I thought it was eliminated. Get eliminated? So we'll see there. Okay, so we got the 49ers and the 49ers. Yeah, I'm distracted. And the Rams. This is a tough one, man. Without the weapons, I'm going to still say the 49ers cover. Let's go with it. They're the better franchise. They're the better play. FanDuel minus 6.5. Let's do it. Let's do it. 1 second. Let me put my Tampa Bay pick. Bay. Just in case. But I know that I lost this one. All right, then. We got to look at, and there's my English accent, for the LA Rams and the 49ers are done. And we got, what a spicy matchup this is. The Detroit Football Lions heading into Arizona to take on the 1-1 Arizona Cardinals. Both teams 1-1. And really, what do you get here? The Lions seem like to be not really going. They seem like they're a little bit stalled here. Well, the Cardinals show, that they got something going with this Kyler Murray to Marvin Harrison Jr. That is really smoking there. So do we like points in this one? This was a 51.5. How do you not take the over in this matchup between the Lions and the Arizona Cardinals? But at the same time, when you put the Lions at a 2.5 point favorite, that's where I get a little, jumpy that I might want to unload on the Lions here. It's right up to 3 for most books, to be honest. But when you look at Bet365, you got 3, and you got Bet365, and 3, you got FanDuel at 3, and you have DK, have it your way. 3. Fuck, I missed that line. That would have been 3.5. I'm hoping it drops as we approach 4 o'clock. But if it drops to 2.5, this is the play of the day. As far as value, the Bucs are the lock to me, but this is the value play of the day. I'm all over the Lions on this one. We're looking at them in power rankings as a top 4, top 5 Super Bowl contender, and it's got to start here. The Arizona Cardinal defense is dog shit, and I think the Lion defense is good enough to slow down or stall the Cardinals while the Lions light up the Arizona Cardinals. I love it. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions minus 105 on FanDuel. Lock it in. All right, now we got the Sunday nighter, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champion, back-to-back Kansas City Chiefs, taking on the Kirk Cousins Monday night winners, Atlanta Falcons. What do we got here? What an interesting matchup. We got an interesting matchup. The stock on the Falcons is up. They are 3.5 point underdogs at most books. Chiefs favorite. Pacheco. He's not going to be there for the KC Chiefs. He is out. The running threat is depleted. But we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason why they're successful is because they can adapt with a Patrick Mahomes and an Andy Reid to shift the game plan and focus their attention on other weapons to get the job done. So, yes, Pacheco is out. That is no good. You want him back for the playoffs for sure, but that doesn't mean the death of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if you look at the line, it was 3.5 for most sports books. No, it's like 3 actually coming in when I originally checked it. Let's keep a look at it. FanDuel is 3 still. Kansas City favorite. Bet365 is 3. And DK, have it your way. Also 3. So 3 points. You're not going to take the Chiefs at 3 points. Also another teaser, right? Bring it to +3 for the Chiefs to maybe, get a few bucks in your pocket. I mean, could you see the Chiefs winning by 3? Sure. But I think you see the Chiefs winning. So why not go with the Chiefs at -3 and see what happens? Hopefully you can buy a half a point, maybe go down to 2.5, or parlay at the money line and get good value there. But you gotta like the Chiefs, okay? So let's go -3 Chiefs, and let's see the line. -112 on DK. -112 also on Bet365. And then we go to the Monday Nighters. There's 2 games on Monday night. We'll see this back-to-back weeks. We'll have 2 games We're going to flip over to Monday. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars heading into Buffalo, 5.5-point underdogs. It was 4.5 up to 5.5. Looks like tight end Evan Ingram for the Jacksonville Jaguars is out. He will not play. There's a weapon gone for Trevor Lawrence. Not good. The Buffalo Bills are smoking right now. They are on fire. They could destroy the Jacksonville Jaguars here unless somehow the Jaguars put together a game plan to slow down Josh Allen and this Buffalo offense. I don't see it happening. I see the 5.5 points being value here. It was at 4.5. Like I said, the line wasn't even up at DK by the time I researched this, but let's look now. It is now at 5.5. With 5 at Bet365 would be the play. DK 5.5 as well. DK. I'm gonna go with 5.5. DK or FanDuel. Even though it was at 4.5, but again, if you're at Bet365, that's the play. -5 if you like the Bills. Kyle gets screwed over because these stupid administrative issues. Some guy with a pencil and a calculator can't get the job done and fulfill my paperwork. God damn it. Anyway, so Bills, I don't think there's much to discuss there. We have the Washington Commanders taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in the later Monday night or at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 7.5 seems to be the line here that's stuck for the last few days. Commanders are a team in transition. Young quarterback that's really going to rely on his legs more than he is. It's going to be his arm. 7.5, the Bengals. Have they really got the job done? They look good against Kansas City. Probably should have won that game against Kansas City. Commanders are still, you know, let's not get stupid here. Let's stick with the Cincinnati Bengals. Even it's a high spread here. I got to look at FanDuel -7.5. Still, bet at DraftKings at 7, which is fantastic. Let's go 7. I'm gonna go DraftKings, and I am going to look at Bet365 7.5. So DraftKings is the way to go if you're a Cincinnati Bengal supporter in this one. Absolutely going to be an amazing week 3 in the NFL. Crack a beer open for the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting podcast. Get a wing or two going. Get the barbecue all flared up at halftime, ready for those 4 o'clock games. Let's get going. Let's put some money in your pocket. Let's have a great day, everybody. The Overrated Experience is over and out. And remember, the pleasure's all been yours. Till next time, bye-bye.